My story begins in 1997. I was a second-year medical resident at Brigham Women's Hospital in my internal medicine residency, and as it happens, I was on my neurology rotation. I found neurology, with all due respect to my sister, to be rather dull. And I thought the majority of the doctors were a bit strange. For those of us who have neurologists, you know they tend to be a bit quirky, and as some would say, not me of course, they have been described as the geeks of the medical world. So in my morning rounds, I would generally bring work to do, an article that I found to be more interesting to read. I would sit in the back quietly, not asking any questions or paying very much attention, frankly. And this one particular day, every time I bent my head down, I had this strange shooting sensation down the back of my neck. We know that to be a Lermite sign. I wasn't worried, and that may surprise you. But at 18 months into my residency, I'd found that no matter what service I was on, I would undoubtedly develop the hallmark symptom of that service. So when I was on cardiology, I started having heart palpitations, and they went away. When I was on oncology, I found a tumor. Turned out to be imaginary. No one else seemed to palpate it except for me. I'm still here, so I think that was correct. And I did rheumatology. My joints were stiff. They were swollen. So when I developed this symptom on the neurology, I just thought it was par for the course, and I really wasn't all that worried. And of course, it went away. However, 2 to 3 months later, Martin Luther King weekend to be exact, it's an unfortunate anniversary. Everyone else is celebrating. I'm like, oh, it's so sad. But I started feeling ill, not quite right. I was sick, but not sick with a cough or a fever. I couldn't really put my finger on it. And it was the next day I started seeing double. I thought it was stress. I had long since told my friends that my patients were going to drive me stark raving mad, and I thought it has finally happened. And frankly, I walked around for the better half of a day, very nonchalant, trying to keep one eye closed and had one arm out a little bit, walking very slowly, because as those of us who've experienced double vision, you never know exactly which is the right doorway, which column is real, which one's, so I didn't want to run into the patients or the stretchers in the hall. But I didn't want to say anything, because I knew this was really scary, very worrisome. I was 18 months in my residency. I didn't know what this meant. I'd spent half my life trying to escape Hickson, Tennessee. I was determined not to go back. But unlike other symptoms of MS, double vision cannot be ignored. It cannot be easily compensated for. It's one that will get you into the healthcare system, regardless of whether you want to be there or not.
Every day when I go in the office, I'm taking care of Dora and all her other sisters. As family members, as caregivers, as loved ones, sometimes we get 5 minutes when there's 20 minutes given to the person living with MS. But I assure you on that day, we were all diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. We have all been affected by what it's like to live with multiple sclerosis. The things that has been beautiful about it is that we're a much closer family. Before that, we may talk once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks. Now we speak essentially daily. We don't speak and say, how's your MS? That's the least of our worries most days. But we talk about the natural things, boyfriends, what your younger sister got herself into this time, how's my nephew doing, and how many times he's been to the principal's office this week. All the basic things that families talk about. And when I see Dora, I don't do neuro exams, although last night when she got to the room, and this is our polar opposites, I was in bed by 10, she came in from partying somewhere around 1 o'clock. Was trying to talk to me. That's why she had all that time to rewrite the speech, because I refused to wake up. She kept saying, hey, I thought we were going to bond. I'm like, bond later. It's 11:30. And then at some point during the night, she was like, hey, how do you like my shoe? And I opened my eyes. I said, 3-inch heels. Her MS is doing just fine, and rolled back over. That is our neuro test in our family. She's an incredible inspiration. What she didn't tell you is that when she was diagnosed, her training program essentially told her career was over. And I think she's gone on to make enormous contributions to medicine in a way that those of us who are in the trenches, us boring, what else did you say? Sometimes unliked, what? Geeks. Oh, yes, geeks that are neurologists. And let's face it, but most of us are, that we can make in the trenches. MS is such a time of hope now that 10 years later, where I would say we didn't know much, the information has just exploded. And the question was asked, how does that affect my research? Well, every day I'm looking for a cure not only for my sister, but for all our other sisters and brothers who are living with multiple sclerosis. Thank you for the opportunity. I think Dora has a few closing remarks. And we'll go from there.
We just wanted to end on a bit of well, at the end of the day, I do work in the Congress, and so we always have to go back to the broader issue of health policy. And so I just want to say, I just really think that these are exciting times for all of us. On the research side, this truly is the century of the life sciences. People like to throw that jargony word out there, but we are seeing more advances in our understanding and our knowledge of MS. We are seeing new drugs in the pipeline. Dare we say that we will see a cure in the next decade? That is my hope, and that is my expectation as we continue to learn more about the environmental and genomic factors that contribute to MS and the disease process. On the clinical side, I believe that we are close to finally tackling true reform in our healthcare system. I think that in the next 10 years, we will also see all patients with MS having health insurance coverage, that all patients with MS will have access to the medications, to the healthcare services, to the home and community-based supports, all of this that we need to keep us healthy and independent and productive. I have the audacity of hope. I know that all of you, as my friends in need and my friends indeed, have the audacity of hope as well. Your presence here today speaks to that truth, and I thank you as we all work together to create the world free of MS that WAMS is leading the charge. Thank you.